All right, today we're going to completely reframe how we think about relapse. So forget this idea that it's some sudden, unpredictable failure. Instead, I want you to think of it like a meticulously planned launch sequence, one with clear, identifiable steps. And if you can see the steps, well, you can abort the mission before it ever gets off the ground.
And this, right here, this is the core idea that changes absolutely everything. A relapse isn't just one bad moment of weakness. It's the final step in a long and totally predictable countdown. You know, this powerful way of looking at it actually comes from a worksheet designed to do one simple thing, to give you back control. It transforms relapse from the sudden, shameful event into a process that you can actually track, understand, and most importantly, interrupt.
Okay, so this is basically our command center for today. This worksheet lets you map out your own personal launch sequence. By figuring out what happens at each stage, what makes it possible, you create your own personalized manual for exactly how to abort the launch at any point.
All right, so let's start the countdown right at the beginning, at 10. We're going to start with the early warnings. Now, these first few steps are often the most subtle, the easiest to miss, but honestly, they are the most powerful places to step in and stop the whole thing.
So check this out. These are kind of like the crucial pre-flight checks for a relapse. It starts at step 10, target identified. And this isn't what you think. It's not about the substance itself, it's about when your recovery tools start to slip. Maybe you skip a meeting or you just disconnect from your support system. Then comes step 9, radar activated. That's when those old thoughts or fantasies start flickering back onto your radar. And finally, step 8, systems online, is when those little routines that set the stage for relapse start to creep back in.
So just take a second here. What does a step 10 or a step 9 really look like for you? Recognizing these first, quiet signals, that's your greatest strategic advantage. So what happens when those early warnings get missed? Well, the mind starts to build a case for relapse. And that brings us to step 7, which is where logic itself starts to get a little twisted.
And this is step 7. Access codes entered. Think of this as the justification phase. It's where your mind starts coming up with these rationalizations to just override your better judgment. It's that internal argument where a lie you really want to believe, like, oh, I can handle this on my own, becomes the access code that unlocks the next dangerous stage. And once those justifications take hold, it's like throwing a match on gasoline. Powerful internal and external factors come into play and they just accelerate that countdown.
And from here, things can build really, really fast. Step 6 is the ignition sequence, and it's sparked by those really powerful emotions like stress, anger, or loneliness. These feelings create this intense internal pressure to escape. Then, at step 5, the fuel is loaded. This is all about the external stuff. You put yourself in a risky environment. You start talking to old contacts. You're basically pouring rocket fuel on the fire.
Okay, so ignition sequence started. Fuel is loaded. We are now entering the most critical phase of this whole countdown. The alarms are getting louder, and the window to act, it's closing fast. And these next few steps, they happen fast. At step 4, final checks ignored, you're actively skipping accountability. Maybe that's dodging a call from a sponsor or a loved one. Step 3 is the warning alarm sounding. That's that deep gut feeling screaming at you to stop, and you just consciously push it down. And then, step 2, hand on the key. That's it, that final terrifying moment of choice right before the point of no return. And all of that, it leads, inevitably, to the launch itself.
Step 1. Launch. This is the relapse. But here's the most important thing I want you to get from this. It is not the beginning of the story. It's the absolute predictable end of a long, 10-step sequence of choices, ignored warnings, and missed opportunities to stand down. And when you see it that way, the shame starts to fade, and what you're left with is a clear, reverse-engineered map of exactly what happened.
Okay, so knowing the sequence is one thing, but using it to get back in the driver's seat? That's the whole point. This is where you stop being a passenger in the countdown and you become the mission commander, the one with the power to hit abort.
And this debrief, this becomes your personal action plan. After you've mapped out your own countdown, you sit down and you answer these questions honestly. You're creating a concrete, strategic defense for the future. You're deciding, right now, what you're going to do the next time you spot a step 9 or a step 6. You're pre-planning your mission abort.
And really, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. I mean, think about it. You can't be tricked into a launch if you can see the whole countdown happening in real time, right? Every single time you recognize you're at step 8, or you hear yourself making one of those step 7 justifications, you get the power back.
The sequence loses its hold on you, and you take command.
So I want to leave you with this question. Now that you know the sequence, what's that very first step you can interrupt? What is your personal step 10? What is that first, super subtle sign that the countdown has even begun? Because figuring that out and planning your response to it right now, that is the single most powerful move you can make. It's how you keep the missile in the silo for good.
If this video was helpful for you, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, watch more. This resource library exists just for you, to support you through this healing journey. If you'd like to work with me or a therapist or coach like me on healing from compulsive sexual behavior, healing from betrayal trauma, or healing your relationship after an intimate partner betrayal, please come visit us at newpathsexaddiction.com. You can heal these wounds, but you cannot do it alone. I hope to see you there.